Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I felt compelled to do a video about this Waukesha parade massacre, I guess you could call it. Even though it happened back in 2021 and the trial was in 2022, I've never seen any videos on this, and I have seen a lot of them, that showed the human side of it. The emotion, the loss for the victims and their families. And unless you watched, every bit of the trial, you wouldn't have been able to catch all of that. So I wanted to do a video in the way I think it should be done. And we're going to focus on the parade itself and the trial. And we'll see that it's more than just a random attack. It's more like a clash of two cultures. It was the unfortunate coming together of this culture here and this culture here. This is Daryl Brooks's video, by the way. So when you look at this culture, you see America, you see civilization. People should be able to do this. You should be able to go out and watch a Christmas parade with your friends and family and not have to worry about getting run over by an SUV. But when you mix this culture here with this culture here, then this is what you get.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Daryl Brooks was actually out on bond for 2 felony charges in Milwaukee when all this happened. He ran over his baby's mama in his mama's Ford Escape, since he don't have a car. Now, I wanted to familiarize you with the groups that were affected. There were 60-something floats and units that come through this parade, but some had already come and gone, some had yet to come. There were really, I think, 8 units that were mainly hit. I wanted to familiarize you with them a little bit. This is the Catholic community here, the last group hit. He knocked some of these people clean out of their shoes. Fortunately, none of them die. Before that, he plowed through the dancing Grannies. These women here, he killed 4 of them. Well, 3 of the women and 1 man who was just walking in support. One of the dancing Grannies' husbands. That girl, woman on the closest to us here in the blue and white, it's Tamara Durand. She was hit so hard she had a brainstem tear, lacerated heart, pretty much killed instantly. Her first and very last parade. And you had the extreme dance group that he plowed through, just girls of all ages, teenage girls, all the way down to 2 or 3 years old. You see them doing their thing. He put a bunch of them in the hospital, broken bones, concussions. There were a few of these girls that were in the hospital for weeks and still had trouble walking when they finally got out of the hospital. And these tiny little children in the back in these little strollers, thank God he didn't hit none of them. And the Waukesha Blazers baseball team, walking with their coaches. He killed an 8-year-old boy. I think that boy right there in the white shirt with the black hat and black pants that just walked by, I think he was the one who got killed, Tucker Sparks. And there's some of the coaches. He come down through the left side of that thing, I think around 30 miles an hour. And behind that was Burris Logistics. He hit a woman and her daughter in this group right there. Well, they'll walk by the screen again. That woman and her daughter right there, both of them were hit. Luckily they survived. And the high school marching band, he went through them, put 10 of them in the hospital. Again, broken bones, concussions, chipped teeth, all kinds of injuries in that little group. And you see the van behind them, that's Remax, blowing the flame out of the Remax hot air balloon deal. It's pretty cool. I think that's where Jane Kulik was hit head on and killed. And then he ran over her body with the passenger side, front, and rear tire. So let's go over a little bit about the timeline and what they got here. They got him stopping up here by the White Rock School, arguing with his baby mama and with another woman, friend of Erica Patterson's, trying to intervene. So he pushes her off too, pushing a woman. He had already punched Erica Patterson in the eye. So they fight, struggle around a little bit. And he gets back in the car alone. He tried to get Erica Patterson to go with him, but her friend stopped her. So he gets back in the SUV. He's got his gray sweat top on at this point. This officer here was called out to investigate the abuse against Erica Patterson. You can hear over his microphone or body cam or whatever it is, the mayhem going on through the parade right about the time he stopped.
Who assaulted you? Who ran?
We're arguing, we're assaulting. They call.
Did he have a weapon?
We have multiple subjects down. 10 to 15 people, main and gas fire. Repeating, main and gas fire, 1078.
They call. There's no fucking weapons.
I didn't call it.
You gotta handle that fine.
Okay, what is your name? Just give me your name. Harris, what's your date of birth?
October 7, 1990.
So, 10/7/1990? Erica Patterson? Okay.
So now he's in the parade route. If you watch this officer right here in the middle, you'll see him run off to the right. He's getting calls about the SUV. This police officer in the traffic vest right there, she's going to run out there pretty slowly, it looks like. But he don't stop. He keeps going. The officer's chasing him on foot now. And they got him driving through the parade route. Right there. They got him a real good shot right there. It's a nice good shot of him. And the police officer right there that shoots at him got a real good view of him. There are multiple people that seen him behind the wheel of this thing and positively identified him. Most of them were police officers, but there were plenty of citizens as well. They got him on camera coming through the parade route. They got him on camera. If you watch the top of the screen, he gets off the road, runs in behind a couple of houses, crashes his car. This guy walking the dog is actually an off-duty police officer. He heard the crash. He heard Derek Brooks yell, "Fuck!" when he got out and looked at his car. And you watch the top of the screen, you'll see Derek Brooks come running out with his little hoodie on. There he is. Cop got a good look at him. And he takes off on foot. And there's his SUV. They found it with documents inside that said Darrell Brooks. His DNA's all over the thing. Steering wheel, gear shift. They got him crossing roads and crossing parking lots. They got some good still shots of him. He's ditched his sweatshirt at this point. Now he's got on a red t-shirt. They found the sweatshirt, of course. Got his DNA all over it. And a nice still shot of him there. Got him on security camera. Putting his hair up, trying to change his appearance.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Now he's trying to be all friendly, right? This guy, this cop here, got his whole timeline laid out. They know exactly where he went and everything he did. The cell phones that he tried to use from people so he could bully his mama into getting him an Uber so he could get out of there. And he eventually winds up on the doorstep. This guy, the Ring doorbell camera, caught him doing all this. And you can hear his usual lying pitch. I'm homeless. Can I use your cell phone?
Hey, I called an Uber and I'm supposed to be waiting for it over here, but I don't know when it's coming. Can you call it for me, please? I'm homeless.
So the police called, somebody called the police, said there's a guy down here trying to borrow everybody's phone going from house to house.
Hands up!
So they tracked him down.
Put your hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Do it now!
What I do? What I do? I ain't did nothing. I ain't did nothing. That's the usual.
Did you at some point ask the subject depicted in the video at 114 to identify himself by name?
Go ahead. I did.
What was that person's response?
He identified himself as Daryl Brooks.
Do you see Mr. Brooks in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you point him out for us by telling us where he's sitting and what he's wearing?
He is seated at the defense table wearing a dark-colored suit and striped tie and a mask over his face.
Just to be thorough, Your Honor, could we please have Mr. Brooks remove his mask momentarily?
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Go ahead.
Now that Mr. Brooks has removed his mask, does that change anything about your testimony today?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
What is your name?
Brooks.
You may go ahead and answer.
That's Daryl Brooks.
Notice the jailhouse floppy pen. And he had a key in his pocket that somehow miraculously operated the Ford Escape. And he had an ID card in his pocket. Daryl Brooks. I don't consent to being called that name, nor do I know anybody by that name. You'll hear that in the defense a million times.
What brought you to Waukesha yesterday? How did you get out here?
I was meeting up with a friend to watch the Packer game.
Okay.
That's the only reason why I was out here.
This is the next day, so he's had a whole day to come up with a story.
To a friend, Stephanie.
A house, a bar, or...
A house.
Yeah, I don't mean to make you uncomfortable or anything, but what's the address there? What street
I
is it
have
on?
no idea about Waukesha. I don't know the street.
What was it near? I know you had to see something near it. So what was it near?
Like a gas station?
Have you been to the house before?
No.
Never before?
No.
What's Stephanie's last name?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
When did you guys set this up? Did he offer to drive? Do you have your own car? Did he offer to
No,
drive?
I don't.
How did you guys come
I
together?
don't own a vehicle.
Don't own a vehicle?
No.
Well, at least he's being honest about that. He drives his mama's car everywhere.
I have license.
So you have a...
I do have license, but no vehicle.
Don't ever use your niece's, nephew's, mom's car or anything like that?
My nephew doesn't have a vehicle. My niece is 14.
Mm-hmm. What about your mom?
My mom doesn't even know how to drive.
She doesn't have a car?
Okay, they already know that Ford Escape is registered to Don Woods, who is his mother.
Does she have a car that she lets you use at all?
So that's another lie that they're catching him in.
Does she have a car at all? Maybe not that she lets you use. Does she have a car in her name at all?
I think she did at one point.
Does she right now?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Okay, so they've left the room for a minute, and this idiot obviously didn't realize he was still being recorded. Cause there's a typical thug, in typical thug fashion, he's going to try to get over on somebody and do something sneaky. So let me see if I can use the phone. He done already tried to look at the paperwork. It's that mentality, they just can't get away from it. Oh, play it off, play it off.
I think we got... That you? That's you?
Nah, I ain't got no, it look like whoever, it look like Gray.
Right there. I can see your face.
This is the picture they're showing him, by the way. Not any me.
That's not me. That's not you. That's not me.
Not any me.
Excuse me.
That's not you. No, I don't. Darrell. That's Darrell. That's you. That's you, Darrell. Why you say it like that, man?
Excuse me.
So in the end, Darrell Brooks would be charged with 76 counts, including 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide. Now the trial was really something to see. You're going to want to keep watching because I've done my best to highlight it, but you have to see it to believe it. It was definitely an experience.
Sir, my concern here today is there's a request from your attorneys to withdraw from this case. Do you wish to represent yourself in this case?
Yes, I do. I would like to represent myself pro per.
What does that mean to you, sir?
To represent myself as a sovereign citizen.
Excuse me.
I'm not going to make a determination, sir, whether you're a sovereign citizen or not. It's not relevant to my determination how you characterize who you are, other than you are accused of 77 counts, which I will go through momentarily. You have 2 very capable attorneys that have been with you from the beginning. You understand that, right?
No, I do not understand that.
So if you are allowed to represent yourself in this case, sir, you will not have attorneys assisting you. If I let them withdraw, they are gone from this case. Do you understand that?
I think I will probably be better served representing myself.
Excuse me.
Okay, well, let's just see how that's going to work out for him. Mr. Darrell Brooks, sovereign citizen.
All right, good morning, everyone. The court will call State of Wisconsin versus Darrell Brooks, case number 21 CF 1848. Record should reflect that the state appears this morning by District Attorney Sue Opper, Deputy District Attorney Leslie Basie, Assistant District Attorney Zach Wichow, and the defendant Darrell Brooks appears in person in custody. I'd also like the record to reflect that he is appearing in jail attire today. He's also wearing a mask.
Just to that, Your Honor, I do not identify by that name and would like the opportunity to state that I'm here concerning this matter as third-party intervener in this matter, appearing as authorized representative for my client. I accept for value in return for value all the charging instruments in this matter and make my exemption available for discharge of all obligations and charges connected with this case. I do not dispute any of the facts in the charging instruments and would like to now reserve my rights, if I may.
I'm not exactly sure what response Brooks was hoping for from the judge when he said all this, but I'm pretty sure that this wasn't it.
Mr. Brooks, you just interrupted me within a minute of us starting this case here today. I'm asking you to respectfully not interrupt me. That's the second time, so I can go through the list of things that I need to get through this morning.
I just wanted it stated for the record that
Mr. Brooks,
it
wasn't the proper time to do that. That's now the third interruption. So,
with all due respect, Your Honor,
Mr. Brooks, by saying all due respect doesn't change the fact that you're interrupting me. Your objection is noted, all right? But you need to stop interrupting me so I can get through what needs to be done. I have a number of documents that I need to discuss this morning. Mr. Brooks, you do not have a right to interrupt the court. Mr. Brooks, you're advised that continued interruptions will result in you forfeiting your right to be present in this courtroom, where you'll be taken to the courtroom next door to appear by video and audio means to participate.
To being removed from the courtroom, Your Honor.
That's another interruption.
And you haven't shown me any lawful case law that I can be removed from the court proceedings in a trial and forced under coercion and duress to appear in the trial.
And duress. It's duress, you idiot.
That I have the right to
Mr.
be
Brooks, there's a
present.
proper manner in which you raise objections. You have not followed that proper procedure. You are unable or unwilling to abide by simple rules of civility.
You given me the
interrupt,
chance to
you don't wait for
state my
anyone
name.
to finish, and it will result with you being removed from the courtroom. So
respectfully
you are,
object to
once
that, Your
again,
Honor.
Talk about a fish out of water, boy. I want you to hear a little bit of the prosecutor's opening statement.
The event started off normal. There were dance teams, high school marching bands, local community groups, local businesses, all making their way down the parade route. The streets were lined with friends and family members and neighbors, people there to soak up the atmosphere. Kids ran into the street to grab candy from the people who were throwing it from the parades. It sounds corny, but I think you'll see from the videos there was a true sense of joy in the air. Darrell Brooks killed that joy. He replaced it with terror, trauma, and death. The evidence is going to show that Mr. Brooks left behind a trail of carnage and chaos as he made his way down Main Street through the parade route. The evidence will show that he left that crime scene, created that crime scene, in fact, because he was fleeing from another one where he had laid his hands on a woman and where police involvement became inevitable. So as he careened down Main Street, swerving from curb to curb, hands glued to the steering wheel, eyes fixed on the road in front of him with a silent rage on his face, he hit the gas with his red Ford Escape and used it as a battering ram over and over again, striking men, women, and kids. In the end, Mr. Brooks killed 6 people. He injured dozens more and left a permanent scar on this community.
The list of prosecution witnesses included a lot of police officers, including this sergeant here who was working traffic control at the parade. And he was so broken up and shaken up, he could hardly get through his testimony.
From where you were standing there, were you able to turn and watch the SUV as it traveled past you down White Rock towards Main Street?
I only watched it for a short period of time before returning to my squad car, knowing that some sort of police action was going to need to be taken.
What did you do once you got to your squad?
I got in my squad car. It was bombarded with the most terrible
And witnesses like Mr. Bonesteel, who actually saw Jane Kulik get hit and killed. And she was the only one where there actually wasn't a video recording of him getting hit or killed. But he was pulling a parade float, driving a Suburban, and he saw the whole thing.
When I had looked out my driver's side mirror, that I saw headlights behind me, and I remember thinking briefly, what's the dance guy doing behind me? Why is he so far off to the left?
Okay.
Basically, when that thought was over, I heard the roar of an engine, and I was watching in my side mirror and saw a woman running kind of towards the corner of my vehicle, the back corner, in between, let's say by the tongue of the trailer, and we're trying to get to that point of my vehicle.
Okay.
And then saw the impact and heard it, as well as the roar of an engine.
Okay. Let's just break that down a little bit, okay? So first you notice the headlights, then you hear the engine, and you see a person running. Did you know who it was at that instant?
No.
Okay.
I had no idea who the person was.
Could you tell it was a member of your group?
Yes.
How could you tell that?
They had the red cloaks on.
Okay. So then you said you heard something?
Oh, yeah, you heard. I heard and saw the impact.
Tell us about
If you
that,
ever
please.
heard a car hit another car, or an abutment, or a deer, if anybody's ever hit a deer with their car, you've heard it. I watched the body fly up onto the hood, and her head snapped back, and the body remained on the hood as it passed the side of my vehicle to where I thought I could have just reached out and grabbed her.
So this happened that close to you?
Yes.
You saw all this with your own two eyes?
Yes.
Did the car continue past you?
Yes.
Where did it go?
The car veered kind of in front of me. I saw brake lights and saw what was Jane fall off the hood. He proceeded to, and she was basically on the right side of his vehicle, and he proceeded to run her over with the right front tire, then the right rear tire. And at that point, I was just focused on the body on the ground, but I remember hearing the roar of the engine again. And
how fast were you going?
2 miles an hour.
How fast would you estimate the other vehicle was going?
30.
Did you get a description of that other car?
It was red.
That's all you know?
Like a box type back end.
Okay.
That's all I know. That's all. I thought my wife was the woman on the car. So you see your whole life going by you, in what you think is an act of terror because you don't know what's going on. And then a body's laying on the ground. And at that point, that was my only focus. My vehicle, I threw it in park and ran to decipher if this was really who I think it is.
Okay.
This is my girl right here. She definitely helped put another nail in this coffin. She was part of the Milwaukee Dancing Grannies and was at the rear of the group and saw Daryl Brooks come through there and kill Tamara Duran, Lee Owen, and Virginia Sorensen.
Ma'am, I'm going to direct your attention to November 21st, 2021. Were you at the City of Waukesha Christmas Parade on that day?
Yes.
Were you there as a spectator?
No, I was in the parade. I was in one of the units.
Okay. And which group were you with?
The Milwaukee Dancing Grannies.
How long were you with the Milwaukee Dancing Grannies?
How long?
Yes.
8 years.
Okay. Could you describe, were you guys friends, close? Did you see each other often?
We were like sisters. We were a sisterhood.
Did you meet regularly for practices?
Every week.
Okay. Without fail, pretty much?
And we had some social outings, and then we've seen each other again every weekend for a parade.
So would it be fair to say that the 9 people that were at the parade on November 21st, you knew pretty well?
Very well.
Is it normal for the Dancing Grannies to be part of parades?
Oh, yes. We do lots of parades. We do about 21 of them in summer and about 5 to 6 in winter.
Okay. Again, can you circle Virginia Sorensen on the screen? The screen in front of you is touch.
Okay. This is Ginny.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about Ginny?
Ginny was our glue. She held the group together. She was in the group the longest. And I think she was in the group for close to 20 years. So she was in there for a long time. She was close to everybody. Like I say, we were like sisters. And if you had a problem, she would always ask you about it, talk to you about it. Ginny was always there.
Okay.
This is Tamara Duran.
Okay.
This would be Kathy Z.
Okay. Direct your attention to Miss Durand. Can you tell us a little bit about her?
I'm sorry.
Directing your attention to Miss Durand, can you tell
Yes.
us a little bit about her?
She was new, and this again was her first parade. She was so excited about being a granny because she had worked for months and months to learn all the routines. And when she knew she would be in that Christmas parade, she was so excited. She just couldn't wait. So she was looking forward to doing all the parades. That was the first and last parade she ever did.
And see something unusual.
Yeah, as we were going and I was dancing, when I would turn I seen a streak of red coming on my right side. I didn't see them get hit because it all happened so quick that I was still dancing, and all of a sudden I seen the red car in front of me, and I screamed either in my head or out loud, I don't know which, but I said, "What is he doing? Where's he going?" And I just screamed it because it was so unusual, and I knew if he was going down the center of the parade route, he was going to be hurting a lot of people. And he wasn't going slow. He was going at a good clip. And after the car kept going, I looked on the road, and all I seen were bodies. I thought I was in a war because there were just so many. And I just went into shock, and I just grabbed my jacket like this and went to each body to see who it was and if I could help.
And there were plenty other witnesses as well. He ran into this man's kids and hurt them. He ran into this woman's kids and injured both of them. Luckily they did not die. And he hit this woman's kids as well, son and a daughter. And he ran over Jackson Sparks and killed him right in front of this baseball coach. And he hit this man at the Waukesha Blazers float. And of course, let's not forget about police officers like Detective Tom Casey, who was working traffic control and got a very good look at Darrell Brooks as he went by him.
Did you see the driver of the car as it raced past you?
Yes, I did.
Did you get a good look?
An excellent look.
Who was driving that car, sir?
Darrell Brooks, the defendant.
You're 100% sure of that?
1,000.
Was there anybody else in the car, sir?
Not that I saw.
Excuse me.
I think it goes without saying that Darrell Brooks' defense was less than stellar, but it was entertaining.
So you recall all the details of what you observed that evening, November 21st, 2021?
No.
So what other details do you not recall?
Objection. Your Honor, how does someone recall the details that they don't recall?
Yeah, that's what I wonder.
Sustained is to the form of the question.
Seems very funny. Excuse me.
And he never could quite get the concept of opening the door down. See, he was out on 2 felony charges where he actually ran over his baby's mama with that same Ford Escape, but that had been ruled inadmissible because it would prejudice the jury. They didn't want to bring it up to give him a fair trial, but he practically drags it out of this witness here because he doesn't know what he's doing.
What was the nature of the information?
It's not allowed to be brought up.
See, the witness is smarter than he is.
Trial ruling that she's aware of.
Yep.
So, you want to rethink asking that question, sir? Otherwise, I'm going to allow her to answer it.
What pretrial?
I'm not going to state.
No,
that
I'm not.
right now.
Are we both privy to the same pretrial procedure?
And here the assistant DA comes over and tries to tell him he's about to hang himself just because they want him to get a fair trial. They don't want anything that he can go back on appeal.
Do you want her to answer that question, or do you want to move on?
I want to move on.
Excuse me.
Do you have any requests as it relates to the jury instructions, sir? I would note he put 2 boxes right in front of where he's seated, so I can't presently see his face. And the third. Mr. Brooks, I'm going to ask you for a third time. Do you have any requests as it relates to the jury instructions? Any requests for instructions that aren't included that you believe should be included? Any edits or deletions from the packet that has been provided to you?
Hey, why do you tell them to move my body?
Because I couldn't see you, sir.
Or what?
I've asked you twice now, and I'll ask you a third time. Do you have any requests as it relates to the jury instructions? Any additions, deletions, edits, or otherwise?
Hey, man, you don't got to talk to me like that.
Do you have any requests?
First of all,
related
what?
to the jury instructions, sir?
Man, yeah, I got requests. It ain't like they gonna be honored though.
As it relates to the jury instructions, sir, what are your...
I heard what the hell you said, man.
Well, Mr. Brooks, that was very disrespectful.
Yeah, and I've been getting disrespected since the beginning of this whole process. So welcome to the club.
Mr. Brooks, do you have any requests?
I'm tired of my rights being trampled on here too. I don't understand anything, Your Honor. You don't.
I'm going to mute him again because he's not answering the questions that I'm very clearly asking him, and I've given him 5 opportunities. Mr. Brooks, do you have any requests as it relates to the jury instructions? I'll unmute you for that answer.
I can't hear everything you're saying.
Mr. Brooks, my final question to you: do you have any requests as it relates to the jury instructions?
I just told you, am I muted? Am I muted?
No.
I just told you, I don't know how many times, I can't hear everything you're saying.
Then you should put the headphones on.
Don't you understand? What about that don't you understand? If you see headphones, you can see everything. You can see boxes, but then you see headphones.
Have you asked for headphones to be provided, sir?
I shouldn't have to ask for them. I didn't ask for my boxes to be moved.
I believe they took them away previously because you were so agitated. They were perhaps afraid you might break them.
Yeah, I'm still agitated. I ain't gonna stop being agitated. That ain't gonna stop.
Mr. Brooks, do you have any requests as it relates to the jury instructions?
Yeah, I can hear what you're saying. I can hear what you're saying.
You just told me you didn't. So which one is
Yeah,
it?
I got the headphones on. You can't see that?
What are your requests as it relates? What are your requests as it relates to the jury instructions, sir?
How are you even a judge?
All right, you may step down, ma'am. Thank you.
How are you even a judge? Come on, man. I'm tired of being in the courtroom that has no integrity whatsoever. How can you even call yourself a
Mr.
judge?
Brooks, I need to make a record of some
I need to
things.
make a record too.
You don't.
When am I gonna get the chance to do that?
All right, I need to. Mr. Brooks, I'm going to warn you now that you have interrupted a couple of times.
No, because that's
So he's outright refusing to listen.
I would
He's
not sit
outright
here.
talking over me
I didn't
at the
refuse
moment.
anything. I didn't refuse
Mr.
anything.
Brooks, we are at the point
I'm not
where
gonna
I
sit,
will put you in the other courtroom because
and
you
I
are
don't
not
consent.
able.
I don't consent to being removed. I have not waived the right to be present, and I don't agree with that.
This court decided that under the circumstances to remove Mr. Brooks from the courtroom and to continue the trial in his absence.
As if his defense wasn't already sinking like the Titanic, he made the huge mistake of calling this poor woman Miss Urell, thinking that there was some small inconsistency in her statement or something. I guess somehow it escaped his attention that he ran over and almost killed 4 of her kids. So the prosecution said, well, I guess we'll bring that up, see how the jury likes that. And she actually held up pretty good until the prosecution brought up her kids.
Main Street, is that correct?
Yes.
Is that when you saw this vehicle we've been talking about?
Yes.
So you were standing in the crosswalk.
Correct.
Do you remember a police officer being in that intersection?
I can't be too sure.
Okay. Was it clear to you that this was a parade route?
Yes, it was very clear.
Was it clear to you that traffic from White Rock should not have driven onto Main Street
Yes.
unless they were part of the parade?
Yes.
Did it appear to you as though the vehicle we've been talking about was part of the parade?
No.
How many children do you have, Miss Urell?
Objection, irrelevant.
Overruled.
Okay, he just called her 4 children he almost killed irrelevant.
4 children.
Remember, this is a defense witness now.
All 4 of your kids were marching in the parade that day, weren't they?
Yes.
Objection, leading.
Overruled. Sorry.
Your oldest daughter, Charlotte, she was 14 at the time?
Yes.
She was marching with the Extreme Dance Group as an alumni, wasn't she?
She was handing out candy.
Objection.
There was an objection. It's overruled.
I didn't even state why I was objecting, but okay. We still need a 15.
Yes, please. You see on that map the 5 points intersection?
Yes.
When you were standing in the crosswalk at White Rock in Maine, could you see the 5 points intersection?
I could not.
You didn't see your kids get hit, did you?
I did
Objection, leading.
not. Sorry. Overruled. Again, sorry.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
You didn't?
I did not.
Did you see them later that night?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
I was only able to see 2 of my children that night.
When did you see the other 2?
Days later, when I was able to leave Children's Hospital.
As their mother, you were directly involved in their medical care and the decisions that were made in that process in the days after the parade?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, their father and I.
Charlotte suffered a chipped vertebrae from being struck, didn't she?
She did.
Objection,
Sorry.
leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
She did.
Your daughter Alice, she was 10 at the time, wasn't she?
She was.
She suffered chipped front teeth, is that correct?
Yes.
And facial scarring
Yes.
and road rash
Yes.
and a broken fibula and tibia
Yes.
and broken metatarsal bones.
Yes.
She was observed in a concussion protocol, is that correct?
She was.
Your daughter Vivian, she was marching with the Extreme Dance Group too, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
How old was she in November of 21?
She just turned 7.
Vivian suffered a severe concussion, didn't she?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
And road rash
Extreme road rash.
and a lung contusion
Yes.
and facial scarring.
Yes.
And your 7-year-old daughter Vivian suffered a broken tailbone, didn't she?
She did.
Your son Grayson, he was 8 on November 21st, 2021, is that correct?
That is
Objection,
correct.
leading.
Overruled.
He was walking with the Extreme Dance Group handing out candy, is that right?
He was.
He went to the hospital after the parade, didn't he?
Yes.
He suffered a compound fracture in his femur, is that correct?
An open compound fracture.
Meaning the bone came through the skin?
Yes.
Objection, hearsay.
I don't believe he's a doctor.
Overruled, the witness may answer based upon personal knowledge.
Was that a yes?
Yes.
A police officer saved Grayson's life by placing a tourniquet on that open leg wound. Is that correct?
Yes.
I don't have any other questions.
Will you read the record?
No redirect.
Oscar-winning performance, boy.
God's way is not our own. And no matter how much sometimes we want to question, we have to have faith. Look inside yourself and make the right decision.
Excuse me.
Did he really just say that?
People enact laws. People want to feel safe. People have representatives in Madison or Washington, D.C. that set standards, rules that we all are expected to live by. And when those rules are violated, prosecutors step in and enforce the law. And clearly, once he gets past Barstow, that's where it starts, right? That's where it starts. Nicole White, our first victim, walking with Remax and a hot air balloon. Knocks her over, keeps going, runs up and over the backs of Waukesha South Band, hits the green children spectating on the sidewalk, keeps going, runs over Kelly Grabo and her daughter Adelia walking with Burris Logistics, keeps going, plows through the entire extreme dance team just before the 5 points, keeps going, hits Deborah Ramirez and her son Isaac spectating on the south side of the street, keeps going, clears the 5 points area, hits Jane Kulik square on, causing her to go up on the hood of the car, and then fall off and drives over her body. He doesn't stop. He keeps going. Runs through the kids over by the steaming cup. We heard the parents testify about little Brinley and Kelsey and Owen that were standing there outside the steaming cup. They were struck by the red SUV driven by Darrell Brooks. Keeps going. Plows through the Grannies in that zigzag fashion, striking most of them, injuring them, killing them. Keeps going. Gets down here to the end and goes through the Catholic community. The witness, remember Holly Berg, she testified about that mobile gas station incident. She said she was standing down here in this area. She said, I saw 15 to 20 people fly in the air. They looked like bowling pins. And when she saw the video, she's absolutely right. There's the key to the Ford that was found in Darrell Brooks' pocket. There's no doubt Darrell Brooks is the person responsible for this. Because this man in this picture is the same as this man in this picture wearing this sweatshirt. And again, it's a little hard to see, but you can ask for these exhibits in the jury room if you want. The photograph, you can see this design on the front of the sweatshirt if you look close enough. This is a sweatshirt from the playset that has Darrell Brooks' DNA on it, according to the crime lab. That's him right there. That's Darrell Brooks driving off into the parade. That's Darrell Brooks driving in the parade. That's Darrell Brooks driving in the parade. That is also Daryl Brooks driving in the parade. And so is that. And he kept asking people about the tints on the window. Well, guess what, folks? You don't need to see the tints on the window when the windows are rolled down. And there's clearly one person in that vehicle in every one of these photos. And it's that man, and it's that man, and it's that man. Daryl Edward Brooks Jr., date of birth 2/21/1982, on his identification card issued by the state of Wisconsin. In all capital letters, Daryl Edward Brooks Jr. This was in his pocket when they arrested him.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Daryl E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as charged in count 1 of the information, dated this 26th day of October 2022, signed by the foreperson, juror number 11. If you find the defendant guilty of first-degree intentional homicide, answer the following question, yes or no. Did the defendant commit first-degree intentional homicide while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Daryl E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as charged in count 2 of the information. Did the defendant commit first-degree intentional homicide while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes.
Burn in hell, you piece of shit.
Hey, you are to be removed right now. You will not do that. We, the jury, find the defendant, Daryl E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as charged in count 3 of the information. This is a case that falls squarely on the need to protect the community. On counts 1 through 6, this court is imposing a life sentence without the possibility or eligibility for extended supervision consecutive to one another. 1 life sentence for Virginia Sorensen. 1 life sentence for Leanna Owen. 1 life sentence for Tamara Durand. 1 life sentence for Jane Kulik. 1 life sentence for Bill Hospel. And 1 life sentence for Jackson Sparks. I've considered the enhancer and the additional 5 years that I could impose, but I don't need to really order that because I've not made him eligible for extended supervision, and it would only be to increase his time on initial confinement. But make no mistake, Mr. Brooks, you use that vehicle as a battering ram, no different than, frankly, a firearm. On counts 7 through 67, these are 61 counts of first-degree recklessly endangering safety. These charges alone and these convictions without the enhancer carry a maximum of 12.5 years. Because of the enhancer, a total of 17.5 years. And under Wisconsin law, the 5 years is added to the initial term of confinement. So what could be 7.5 years is a maximum of 12.5 years. And I'd ask that everyone no longer show any reaction to the sentence so I can get through this. On counts 7 through 67, on each count I will impose a total sentence of 17.5 years. 12.5 years of initial confinement, plus 5 years of extended supervision, consecutive to any other sentence that I've imposed here today. That is 762.5 years of initial confinement and 305 years of extended supervision on top of the life sentences that I've imposed.
Excuse me.
You can't do that.
My shooting team, they gon' handle teams for the revenue. Can't even eat off these dishes, they got residue. Remember when I used to play the hard back in middle school? Remember when them cases had me...
And so ends the story of Daryl Brooks, aspiring rapper. Fortunately for him, Wisconsin doesn't have the death penalty, or he'd surely be sitting on death row. Maybe this will give closure to the families of the victims, and maybe even to their spirits themselves. Rest in peace.